Hi, I'm Forrest Griffin.
Brian Caraway.
And Lisa Tate.
What's up, guys? This is Joseph Benavidez, UFC flyweight.
Hi, this is Greg Jackson, and you're listening to It's MMAzing, and that is an amazing pun.
Get it? Like MMA, but amazing? Amazing.
Radio.
Welcome to It's MMAzing Radio. Or you know what? Maybe it should just be welcome to Diamond Dog Radio. Because let me tell you, folks, we are,
Woof.
I'm Dr. Law. Let's start with that.
Hey, Nate.
With me as always is DJ Mark.
Correct.
Also joining us this week, the Nate of this podcast, Lavender Gooms.
Oh, wow.
Who's the one that woofed while we howled? That was Mark.
True.
Mark
That
is
was
the
that,
Nate of the podcast.
I did the unenthusiastic wolf.
All
I
right,
picked up on that. Very
of
good.
This podcast,
He's a true Lasso fan over here.
I am the Leslie of this podcast. All right.
Oh, that's not
Of
the
the
case.
Diamond.
That is not even at all the case. Folks, just putting this out there, I'm going to say at least the last half an hour of this show, it's going to be Ted Lasso talk. All right. Because there's not going to be a lot of MMA talk. We talked about it last week, probably the week before. We're in the dead zone. And what am I going to talk about, guys? I'm just thinking off the top of my head the people who've been arrested for domestic violence in MMA in the last month and a half. Mayhem Miller, Luis Pena twice, or second time. Chuck Liddell, though, sounds like there's some family issues there. John Jones. We got BJ Penn who wants to be governor of Hawaii. And in addition to getting rid of mask mandates, BJ Penn wants to get rid of the TSA because BJ Penn's sick of waiting in the fucking airport line for security. BJ appears to be confused about federal and state guidelines also because he said he's going to get rid of federal mandates too.
He's on an island. What are they going to do? Come all the way over there? No way.
I think that's what's going on here. BJ just seems like he's just living his day-to-day life, and whatever's causing him a mild inconvenience is what he's against.
But I'll tell you this: what other MMA fighters have been correspondents for CNN?
You know the sad thing is, I'm not from Hawaii. I don't know the culture over there, but like how famous BJ is. BJ could win. You don't know. He's rich, right? He already was rich. He's from a rich family. He's famous. People have been president on less than that. Yeah, guys, MMA stuff is just it's not good. But this is what we're going to do this week. We're going to talk a little bit about Marina Rodriguez's big win over Mackenzie Dern. 5-round fight where we learned a little bit about both women. We're going to talk about some fight news this week, some breaking news that happened today too, including Leon Edwards' next opponent, and a move of the flyweight championship fight. And then we're going to make some picks for this weekend's, I already forgot the main event. Someone tell me what the main event.
Lad and who's this other?
Oh yeah, for some reason
Norma Demont.
we're letting Aspen Ladd fight. Sure, why not? But we're also going to pick the Bellator tournament fights for this weekend, and we're going to talk about how Benson Henderson's getting out there against Ben Primus. I know it's Primus, but I like saying Primus. Just makes me happy.
Sounds like Optimus Prime.
Well, it's also the band, so it makes me happy. And actually sounds like a pretty good fight. But let's get into it, Marcus. We all were wrong about Mackenzie Dern, if I'm not mistaken. We all thought Mackenzie Dern was going to take the win here over Marina Rodriguez. Not that she didn't seem capable in this fight, but it was clear Miss Rodriguez had the advantage, correct?
Yeah, it was a fun fight. It was an interesting fight. And we kind of broke it down last week. Rodriguez was going to have the advantage on the feet. It was really going to be if Dern had made enough adjustments to get the fight on the ground where, she was going to be able to capitalize. And what was interesting and fun about this fight is that Dern did get the fight down. It wasn't pretty. I think the strategy for her entries was really basic. I can't remember who her coach was. Bob, do you remember who that striking coach was for BJ towards the end of his career? Like Justin something? Justin P.
Was it Perillo?
I think it might have been Perillo.
Was Perillo out there? Okay.
I think he was Mackenzie's main coach, and he really gave her a really simple strategy that had some success early on. He basically said that you need 2 touches. Throw a 1-2 as your first setup. Now I need you to change levels and then throw another punch and then enter the clinch. And she did that in the first round. She was able to clinch up Rodriguez on the cage, but Marina had a good defense. She was able to get a deep underhook in, fend off that takedown, win the first round on striking. The second round, Dern came out a little bit more aggressive, was able to get her in the clinch against the cage again, and she went for like a judo throw, which ultimately failed, but really didn't matter. Like the whole point was just get it on the mat. As soon as she did, she was able to reverse, get back on top. And the second round was easily Mackenzie's best round. She spent a lot of time on the mat, dominated Rodriguez. I think a lot of people judging the fight even gave it a 10-8, which that seemed a little drastic. She was dominating the ground, but Marina actually kind of caught her in this weird anaconda darce choke when she was in side mount. She didn't have the position to really finish it, but she definitely trapped Mackenzie's head in there for a second and kind of negated her being able to advance. But after that, Mackenzie was able to advance, get all kinds of really good positions, but didn't really get super close to threatening with any submissions. And then the rest of the fight, Marina was kind of able to make some adjustments to stop this two-touch strategy, and Dern kind of stopped doing it. I think she started realizing, it wasn't working as easily. Marina was circling out, not allowing her to kind of like bum rush her into getting into the cage. Dern did, I think in the fourth round, when they got in a clinch in the middle of the octagon, Marina threw a pretty hard knee, but Dern kind of ate it and just kept pushing forward, and they kind of stumbled onto the ground. She was able to get mount, but even in that round, wasn't on the ground long enough to really win. And it was mostly just Marina using her length. She's a pretty tall straw weight. She has long arms, and she really utilizes that reach when she is striking. And Dern just really didn't have the skill set to hang in there on the stand-up, didn't have the skill set to initiate clinches often enough and control Marina in the clinch, and definitely just didn't have the different avenues to get Marina on the ground. So she was kind of outclassed most of this fight. Yeah, Bob?
So Mackenzie, I wish I knew this before we picked the fight, but I remember seeing this, and I saved this for later when we would talk, that she has got a 10% takedown accuracy rate. Which, just to give you context of what is a good or bad one, there are 546 fighters in the UFC with 20 plus takedown attempts, and she ranks 542.
10%?
Yeah. She has got 2 successful takedowns in the UFC before this fight with 4 submission wins. I know the instinct is to say she needs to work on her striking, and she does. But Mark, I really think she's got to get some offensive wrestling here going, because if she gets people to the ground, that's when they're in deep water, right? I mean, that's her greatest path to victory, right? So, in addition to Jason Perillo is a good striking coach. Jason Perillo got Michael Bisping a UFC title, partly. That was partly his doing. So, but maybe just assuming she's good on grappling is not the way to go.
How has she gotten so many submission wins in the first place with such shit takedown offense?
I mean, I said she's got 4 submission wins off of 2 successful takedowns in her career in the UFC. That is a good example of fuck around and find out. All right? Because some people decided to test the situation and got tapped out. But what do you think, Mark? I mean, what do you think she should do next?
I think a strong regimen of really drilling in wrestling would be great. If she could get a shot where she can actually shoot doubles or singles, because really, when you talk about her success rate, her successfully taking down would be great. But like in this fight, she failed at a takedown, and it worked into her favor drastically. She went for this judo throw that, she sold out on, and it didn't work. Marina had her back. Within 10 seconds, she was on top again. Like, her getting the takedown isn't as crucial as, like, if she can get the fight on the ground and she fails a takedown, that's a success, right? If she can hit somebody and they fall down, that's a success. If she drops down and they follow, these are all successes. They're not successful takedowns. But yeah, I think there's a couple avenues that I think if Mackenzie Dern really focused on them, she could be a much more deadly fighter. And I think, getting better stand-up is important, because she's going to be spending a lot of time in the stand-up when she's not able to initiate these takedowns. But one, getting better at, takedowns, whether it's in the clinch or in free space, working on a shot or something, whatever it takes to get them to the ground. But I think even on the ground, I would say there's still some room for improvement. Her ability to scramble is top. I mean, and watching her on the ground in this fight was so fun. It's just like watching Khabib. These guys that really know how to grapple, it's a thrill to watch watch them and see what they do. What I would really like to see Dern get even better at is drilling ground and pound. So she's not just spending this round where she's completely dominant, just like getting different positions and scrambling and getting into mount. Like, get into side, get into mount, and drill fucking elbows and bloody these chicks up, because once you start blooding them up and fucking up their face and getting bruising, it's going to make the stand-up more difficult for them. It's going to make your entries easier. So I think definitely in this fight, you can see it with her coach. Like, the coach said, like, once you got to the ground, like, oh, you're just having fun there. Like, there was no analyzing that fight when it was on the ground from the coaching staff. Like, you know what you're doing here. Like, I'm here to teach you striking, and that's really all
I think, honestly, she needs to... We talked about it last week, and we were trying to be funny at some of it with the Damian Maia stuff. But I really think, like, Damian at the end of his career, not the last couple fights, because everybody ages, but Damian on his welterweight run really found his how to, like, it wasn't like Damian was doing blast doubles either, you know? Like, Damian would clinch, Damian would do what he needed to do to get the fight to the ground, and at that point would actively work his, you know, I'm not a grappling expert, but she's a world champion, he's a world champion. She needs to take a page out of his book of, like, the different ways of getting it down to the mat, because and still work on your striking. Don't make sure you're not inept standing, and Jason Perillo is a good coach to work with, but some more offensive some more, like, stand-up offensive grappling, even if it's like getting him against the fence, you know, getting him against the fence, getting, I don't know, pull guard. I don't know if you want to work off your back the whole time, but, you know, she needs to. The best thing that I always thought about, like, GSP is that GSP always made sure the fight. It's why I think GSP is the best. The fight was always where GSP was always in the position to do his best. He always made sure wherever the fight was taking place, he was in a position to execute the best offensively, and the other person that was at a disadvantage to execute offensively. And a stand-up striking fight is very much the opposite of that for Mackenzie Dern. So as a fighter, I think always you need to put yourself positionally where you're going to succeed. You know what I mean?
I missed this fight, so Mark, maybe you can tell me. Did she actually try and get? Was her game plan mostly to try to get the fight to the ground, or did she actually try to stand for the most part with Marina?
Yeah, I mean, the strategy, what was fun was the strategy was very clear. They were very clear on what she needed to do. She needed to get in the pocket and how they wanted to do. And to get in the pocket was really to back up Marina and then to get them against the cage and figure in any way to get down. Because, I mean, Bobby, you're right. Like, whether she successfully gets the fight taken down, or she pulls guard, or she goes for a lateral drop and it messes up, like, it, there is no really fail. A failed takedown for her is that they don't end up on the ground. Whether she's on bottom or top, that's a fail for her. If she, like in this point, when she went for a judo throw and it failed and she got her back taken, that's not a fail for her because she instantly got on top. So yeah, Mike, the strategy was to basically strike a little bit, fake a takedown, hit her with another strike after that, and then get her against the cage. And once you're against the cage, figure out how to get it down. And the strategy didn't get too deeper into that. Like once you're there wasn't a lot of clinch work to start analyzing, like you need to get doubles, you need to shot, you need to drop down to go for a shot or something. It was mostly just this really basic, I want you to touch twice. Throw two punches, really not even aiming to hit her, but just to get into range, change levels so she thinks you're shooting, and then throw another punch because you're in the pocket now. And once you hit that punch, then actually shoot, get clinch, what have you. And she did that a couple times successfully, but she really started getting deterred because Marina was catching on to that strategy. She would circle out when she started hitting the cage and wouldn't allow her to get crowded up. And then Marina just started getting off first a lot more, which made Dern, very gun shy. And I mean, her biggest flaw in the striking is just that she's super not comfortable there. She doesn't like getting in the pocket. She doesn't want to get hit. Her defense was all right. She got her hands up. She ate some shots, but nothing super clean or super damaging. But it's just really not her realm. So yeah, it was disappointing. I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't really learn a lot more about Dern or even Marina. We both knew like where their skill set lied. And it was just who's going to be able to implement the strategy. And Marina did, to her credit. So
I saw Ariel was saying maybe a number one contender fight for Marina next, and I'm like, just give her a fucking title shot. Like, who cares?
I think Marina's even pushing for Carla to get that title because
this is 125 though. Yeah. This is 125, isn't it?
It's strawweight.
Was that fight at strawweight or 125? Yeah. I thought it was at 125.
Yeah, it was.
Which one?
What was it?
It was a strawweight.
It was a strawweight. Yeah.
Oh, that was my mistake. Oh, then yeah. Carlos should be getting a title shot right now. But
yeah, I mean, I think Marina's right there. I think this was kind of a...
It's not a giant and grave injustice because, I mean, this is not the first time the UFC's, just...
There's been worse, so we can't really,
I mean, Whaley got kicked in the fucking head a minute into a fight, and I'm like, okay. But anyway. Our guy Randy Brown got a win on this thing, Mark.
Didn't see it.
Yeah. Marina and McKenzie picked up.
He made a stink. Randy Brown made a stink after the weigh-ins about his opponent missing weight, basically saying that lower end guys. He was insinuating that lower end guys are more incentivized to, maybe not make weight, as 20% for them is much less than a bigger person, but the possible payout of them winning is greater, as they would get the win. He was basically advocating for higher percentage of penalty when you miss weight.
I don't think the math works on that.
I was going to say the same thing, Bobby. Like, this guy's not making much. You don't want to lose any money.
That's how percentages work. But, like, if he won, he still had to give that money to Randy also.
It was basically the Chris Rock argument. You got to give half and you earn 50,000, whatever. But you got to give, 200 million,
No, Chris Rock made the exact opposite argument.
The exact opposite.
Chris Rock said if you get 20 million and you have to give up 10, so what? You're not starving. If you're 20,000 and you give up 10, it's a fucking tragedy. I might have to kill you.
Somebody.
Yeah, it's literally the opposite argument.
Yeah, so Randy Brown.
Because I'm like in my head doing Randy. I'm doing some Randy Brown math, and I'm like, all right, if Randy Brown doesn't miss weight, he gets 10,000. I'm assuming it's 10 and 10 for the sake of easy math.
I mean, might be a little bit more. They work.
I think it's 12 and 12 now for that. I'm
talking about the lowest if you're only earning 10 G's, and you get fined, let's say, and you're gonna get fined 20%, but you're able to go into that fight like a meaty 6 pounds heavier. You're like, 2 G's.
They're not gonna let you fight at 6 pounds. They're not gonna let you fight 6 pounds over.
Okay, 5 pounds.
Mike, you're taking this argument side just for the entertainment of it, but it's so mathematically flawed. But I'm just like, okay, best case, Randy, like the guy making 10 and 10 is getting 16 grand if he misses weight
and a W if he wins.
But he's making 16 grand. He's giving his 4 grand to the other guy because he has to give 20% up, even if he wins. It's like you got to keep that money.
And an L. He's giving the other guy an L as well due to the extra weight.
He's not necessarily going to win. He lost all the rounds.
He had a better chance though.
Based on what?
The extra weight.
Based on what indication do we have about that right now?
Yeah, Jordan thought he did the math right too, and at the end of the day, he's like, "Well, fuck! I lost this fight and I lost money."
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you teach him this? Was this your math class? Damn,
it sounds like something a sleazy manager would say. Like, "Oh, don't worry about the weight, man. You're gonna lose a little money. We're gonna make it back."
I mean, that being said, I am a person who lost $2,000 because Jeremy Stevens missed weatherweight by 5 pounds and need the motherfucker I needed to win into the next dimension. And I was just like, "Great, thanks, Jeremy. Way to fucking make an effort to make weight." That was at the Apex. They're not going anywhere. They're going to be at the Apex next week. We'll talk about that fight in a minute here. Some news that has broken in the last couple days. We got ourselves a Jorge Masvidal fight. Jorge Masvidal is going to take on Leon Edwards.
Nice.
We're getting that fight.
About time.
It's going to be on pay-per-view at the final pay-per-view of the year, UFC 269 on December. I lost the date.
Not the main though, right?
Well, I think it was December 10th.
I think it's the co-main, because what they did in response to this was they moved the trilogy fight between Brandon Moreno and Figgy Smalls over there. Davison Figueiredo.
I see it. It's also Nunes and Pena, and then that flyweight championship. Okay, that's good.
So is Nunes the main event then?
Yes, at least as far as it is listed here.
Well, because Leon and Jorge are going 3 rounds.
Yeah, I mean, usually that's how it goes. Unless you're a Diaz brother, you get 5 rounds for whatever fucking reason. But no Diaz here, no 5.
Oh wait, no. The main event is it was going to be 3 title fights. The main event is Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier. Okay. So it was going to be 3 title fights. and that's only
That'd be great.
That
I
is
didn't see it on
this
my
is
Google, but
this card
that's a
right
stacked
now,
card.
based on what I'm reading on MMA Junkie. Apologies for the noise, folks. My phone just went off. We got ourselves the main event of Charles Oliveira, Dustin Poirier for the lightweight title. Sounds fucking awesome. Amanda Nunes versus Juliana Pena. Juliana been talking a lot of shit. That's what Juliana does. God bless her. Leon Edwards, Jorge Masvidal. I like this one. Pedro Munoz versus Dominic Cruz. I didn't even know that was happening. At this point, Dominic Cruz fighting anybody is some white whale shit.
Sean O'Malley's fighting.
Sean O'Malley's on there. Get some guy. Ryan Hall.
Great card.
They're letting Ryan Hall fight somebody? Okay. Kai Kara France versus, I don't know why I say France. Kai Kara France versus Cody Garbrandt. I like that fight too.
It sounds more...
well, you go Cara to France. It kind of rolls the A, you know what I mean?
Sounds classier.
Macy Barber's on that card. She was supposed to fight somebody. I forgot they got hurt. And Macy wants to fight Roxy. Get her
again?
She says she lost to her, and she says I would like that fight again. Roxanne, I think they should do it. Why not? Who does that hurt?
Yeah. It's probably Roxanne's biggest win.
Roxanne's gonna take care of that other ACL. Fucking watch out.
Yeah, and I don't know. You gotta think Leon Edwards probably deserved the title shot, but I think Covington and Usman is happening in 3 weeks. I think at the beginning of November in New York. Mike, you going to that?
No.
Okay, fair enough. So it sounds like the winner. If Jorge Masvidal gets a third title shot,
no, that's another no.
I mean, the sad thing is, like, if he beats Leon Edwards, Leon Edwards is the #1 contender.
Yeah, Jorge Masvidal is fighting in like 2 months, and he's out here feuding with Chris Jericho.
Honestly, I was going to ask
AEW.
you, do you think that just like torpedoed with that shit they were going to do? Because it was very clear they were headed towards those two wrestling. And whatever Full Gear is, when's that? In a month?
In a month, yeah. There's no way he's wrestling on that.
Yeah, he's not going to wrestle. So I don't know. Maybe Junior got to be real good. Junior Dos Santos better really. Folks who don't know, Junior Dos Santos is going to wrestle on Wednesday. And that'd be an interesting sight. Junior's pretty big. Him versus Jericho. They really were setting up Jorge, honestly, Mark. I know you don't care about this, but they were really setting up Jorge for a match. And I don't think he can do that if he's going to fight in 8 weeks. So, anyway.
Seems win-win as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you gotta avoid that shit, huh?
I mean, just how about the guy does what he's actually good at instead of placating and doing grab ass in the ring.
I wonder if he like could even do that contractually, but because he's one of the few guys out there with a UFC contract. I mean, Andre was on TV until a week ago, it looks like, and he's gonna be fighting.
He's fighting this weekend. We're gonna talk about it.
Yeah. Okay. I thought there was some other MMA news that didn't involve people getting arrested.
Chuck. Oh no, never mind.
Yeah, I mean,
nothing like that.
That sounds like some stuff happened, and there's a mental health situation if you're to believe what Chuck is saying. And it's interesting that Chuck, I feel, has gotten more of a benefit of the doubt than John Jones. And it's not that Chuck's hands were ever. I mean, Chuck one time passed out on live TV during an interview because everybody was pretty sure he was on drugs, but.
Okay, but Bobby, someone passing out because they took a few too many drugs is a way different rap sheet than hit a pregnant woman, hit someone else, and
went back
like
for
the
my
other
drugs. Went back to see if she was okay. Went back for my weed pipe because I need that for later.
That's fair. We also have, by the way, Ponzinibbio is also on that pay-per-view in December. Ponzinibbio is taking on Jeff Neal. That's a good fight too. UFC 269 is going to be a good time, folks. It's, you know what? All these pay-per-views sound like a good time, Mark. Everything that's happening in between sounds like a fucking disaster, though.
Just to make sure that pay-per-view is only going to have 2 title fights, right? Because I have learned to dread pay-per-views that have 3 title fights because Mikey's not making it through that.
Yeah, 2 title fights, no Diaz brother, 3rd title fight, and we all know, I mean, Jorge Masvidal is not the BMF champion anymore. The BMF champion was... We merged that with the welterweight championship. Usman is the BMF champion too. So
sure, why not?
I mean, if he didn't get it the first time he beat Jorge, the second time he knocked Jorge's jaw into the 7th row.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Sure, give him a belt for that. Well, he already got one.
It could be like the FTW champion.
You know what? Honestly, Dana White said that Usman's the pound for pound best fighter in the world right now, and I might agree with him. Even though pound for pound is in general stupid to me, Usman's on another level these days, it seems like. I mean, spoiler alert to what I'm picking when he fights Colby Covington. I think he's going to kill Colby Covington this time. All right. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. I'll be honest, going into this one, it's not that we're not, I'm not the biggest boxing fan. None of us are. But
dude, we didn't even know it was happening. We were like Friday, like, oh, they find this weekend? We're like, oh, shit.
And
yeah,
Tyson Fury is an interesting case because this dude like ballooned to like 400 pounds at one point. Didn't he or some shit, Mikey? He was all fucked up.
After he won the title from one of the Klitschko's, he had reached the zenith of the sport, and then he proceeded to devolve into a dark depression where he ballooned up to over 400 pounds. He started abusing a lot of different substances and drinking a lot.
Yeah, he's really turned his life around. And the second fight was notable. I watched this. The first fight had some legendary shit where my man Tyson got wrecked and looked like he died, looked like he was unconscious and got up Undertaker style. Just got up. It was incredible. And it was a draw. If I'm not mistaken, Mike, did most people have that for Tyson? Or
yes.
Yeah, okay. Second fight, Deontay Wilder came out and just Tyson was better on every level. Boxed him up, used his size, beat his ass everywhere. His corner threw in the towel, and then Deontay, after the fight, fired the cornerman who threw in the towel, made every excuse that you could possibly make, kind of made himself look like a fucking idiot. This for third fight kind of had, I think a judge kind of ordered it based on the contract, and it torpedoed the Anthony Joshua fight, and then Anthony Joshua lost, right, to somebody else.
Then they truly torpedoed the Anthony Joshua fight because Anthony Joshua lost. That's what torpedoed the Anthony Joshua fight. Before that, all the judge had done was delay the Anthony Joshua fight. And
so they booked this fight, and I'll be honest, Mike, I went into this thinking, okay, well, Deontay's going to get his ass whooped again. What we got, Mark, was a goddamn instant classic. For the people who didn't see it, you want to talk about we got some heavyweight throwing bombs this past weekend, huh?
Yeah. I was. Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. You
said
go
ahead, Mark. No, go ahead, Mark.
Well, I mean, it was an instant classic, and for all the reasons that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, like what I like in a fight, like two guys trying to get it done. This was, I would say, not a very technical fight. I would say Deontay Wilder is probably the least technical champion boxer I've ever seen in my entire life. Like, this dude's fundamentals are messed up, but it really speaks volumes about how much fucking power this guy has, because he's lacking so many things that you couldn't really get into the professional ring and still be successful, especially at his level. With just, I mean, how he moves his feet, he's crossing his feet, he's constantly getting not in a side view but like in a perpendicular view, so he's constantly open for shots. He throws so hard he gets off balance with his own punches. Like, he does a lot of things that for other fighters would tailgate them from being successful, but dude hits so hard that he makes up for a lot of flaws that he has in his game. And Tyson Fury is a guy that I think has a lot of skills. He's pretty nimble on his feet. He moves his head really well. He uses his jab and his hands really well. So it was fun in this fight. The first round, Wilder kind of came out. I mean, I was mostly picking this off from the commentary. Like, he came out with a strategy to attack the body because Fury does move his head very well. He rolls with punches very well. So attacking the body is a more stationary target. He's going to be more successful there. And he was, he was able to push Tyson Fury against the ropes. He was able to dictate the pace a lot better in those first couple rounds. Once he got cracked in the third, Tyson knocked Wilder down. That strategy kind of went out the window, which, is kind of unfortunate because we were seeing a more technical fighter who potentially could have landed that big shot and won the fight. Nevertheless, in the fourth round, he did crack Fury. And it was weird. I mean, that knockdown was weird because he cracked him with a hard punch, and Fury was kind of okay for a second and then fell over like 5 seconds later. And then I think he even dropped him again with like a short uppercut. No, I'm sorry. It was a short little right hand behind the ear. Off the clinch. So, I mean, the pendulum swung drastically between rounds 3, 4, 5, and 6. And I think was it the 6th or 7th round? Fury gets his own knockdown, and in these later rounds, it really became apparent that, Wilder was gassing out a lot more quickly than Fury was. I think in the second round, a big strategy was Tyson using his heavier weight to kind of get into clinches, lean on Wilder, let him kind of wear himself out. And that seemed to be a strategy here, but you have to give a lot of credit to Wilder because even though he looked exhausted, it looked like in a lot of these later rounds, like a strong gust was going to blow this guy over, but he stayed in the fight. He took hard shots. There was no give in this man until Tyson, knocked it out of him. I think midway in the 11th round, clearly knocked him out. The ref stopped the fight. And I think even before then, he might have gotten a knockdown too, where it was like, it would have been okay to stop it there, but he gave Wilder the benefit of the doubt. And easily became, a heavyweight title fight classic. And something I think the sport really does need. I mean, it's good to have a trilogy. It's good to have like these storylines, but it makes it even better when the fight is really captivating. And when you can kind of warrant the price tag of these cards, I don't know how much the pay-per-view cost on paper. It's probably like $60.
I think it was $80. It might be $79.99. I think.
Good God, I mean that's.
This isn't the pandemic anymore, though. At least we're like people can get together. Like if we wanted to, we could have all gone together and spent like $20.
I'm just saying, like it's been interesting to see, and as a podcast that does not cover boxing, besides these really weird. Crossover promotion fights with Jake Paul or what have you, or my guy, Inoue, who I keep an eye on. We don't really keep a pulse on what's going on in the professional aspect, but it's been interesting to see boxing get kind of popular again, kind of get more of the headlines than it has in the past. So, good on them.
Combat sports is fucking killing it. Combat sports in general. UFC's killing it. Boxing's printing money. We have the quality of the fighters, it doesn't get worse, honestly. It's athletics. But Mark, everybody just right now, fight sports are doing real well.
Sure, yeah.
Fake fight sports are doing real well. It's all going great. But
for Baltimore.
Oh damn it! Sorry guys.
Trying to get it
1 moment.
Taylor on the screen.
You guys didn't hear it, but people listening to the podcast are gonna enjoy about 8 seconds of nonsense that came through my headphones. Mike,
I was gonna say at least it wasn't X-rated nonsense, right, Bobby? What other tabs you got opened up over there?
Man.
ESPN. So
okay.
Disney hopefully better not sue us for the 4 seconds of somebody running in a touchdown in this Colts game. Mike, so did I saw Wilder? I mean, I guess Tyson tried to talk to Deontay afterwards, right after. And like try to give him respect, and I guess Deontay wasn't really up for it. I'm gonna give him a little bit of a pass because he just got knocked out, and also in the heat of the moment, yada yada yada. Has there been anything since then? Have you heard anything about like Deontay making some more bullshit excuses?
I haven't heard Deontay make any excuses. I did watch some video of Fury talking about it. In the dressing rooms where he called Wilder a coward and a shithouse. I don't know exactly what a shithouse is, but it doesn't sound great. But no, I haven't heard Wilder come up with any excuses at all this time. I mean, what else could he say at this point? If
you start Googling Wilder excuses, the first thing that comes up is Wilder excuses list. It makes me like
it is truly a list that he had for that second fight, but I haven't heard anything at all or read anything.
Okay, I think I might see. Here we go. Deontay Wilder actually put out a comment out. Let's see. You ever see those articles that like stretch some bullshit out of a fucking one sentence thing? I'm not sure what happened. I know that in training he did certain things. I also know he didn't come in at 277 to be a ballet dancer. Rough me up, blah, 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 blah. My best wasn't good enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
True.
Broke my hand, broke a lip. He says he's okay. So, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, what did they give us, 33 rounds?
It was a lot of rounds.
That's a lot. Yeah. Everybody put your shit aside. What does calling him the big dosser mean? Did I just offend a bunch of people? What the fuck's a dosser?
I don't know, but it sounds so British, and I love it.
I'm gonna Google big dosser meaning.
I'm pretty sure
Okay.
you
A
just
British
Googled Dawson.
informal
I
offer
think you're fine.
disparaging. A homeless person. Okay.
And he's called the Gypsy, right? All right.
I mean, talk about the pot and the kettle, right?
I don't know.
That's what I'm saying.
He called him. I just like the way Fury talks. His accent entertains me. I'm sorry.
He's a big Dawson.
Yeah, I don't know who's next for him. Doesn't he have all the belts except for the one that Anthony Joshua lost to that other dude?
No, he just has the WBC, no? And the lineal for whatever the hell.
He has the lineal, he has the ring, and
that one doesn't count.
Honestly, I think the ring's the only one that should count.
It's the alphabet soups, man. It's the WBA, WBC, and the IBF.
I recognize the ring one more than anybody else. I think the ring is the thing everybody fucking respects.
If Fury does fight the guy that beat Anthony Joshua,
I think they're doing a rematch. I think it got exercised. Immediate rematch.
I think you're right. But that guy, it would be interesting because the guy that beat Anthony actually came up from like cruiserweight, so he's like really small. So if he had to fight Tyson Fury, like the size difference would be massive. But I don't know the guy's name, but I watched a breakdown of his fight, and like he's a super technical, really good boxer. So like it's not out of the realm of possibility. I don't think him beating Anthony Joshua is like a fluke. I think this guy is really good and is legit. So I don't think it'd be crazy if he beat Joshua and he had to fight Fury, and that would be kind of.
But here's the thing. Tyson Fury is also a very technical boxer.
He is,
and he weighs, what is it, 16 stone, which I learned.
277, which is like
this gentleman who I'm gonna butcher his name, but Alexander Usyk. He's got gold medals. He's an Olympic gold medalist at heavyweight. Got European championships at light heavyweight and heavyweight. Ukrainian, which actually, the heavyweight division was dominated by the Klitschko brothers for 10 years, and a lot of people blame them for what they thought was the death of heavyweight boxing because God bless them, those were some boring ass fights. But when you're better, you're better. What are you gonna do? He has the WBA, IBF, WBO, and WBA Super, IBF, WBO, and IBO heavyweight championships.
So many letters.
I'm just telling you, man. Let's just go with the ring one. What does Tyson Fury have? Tyson Fury
WBA, ring, and the lineal championship.
I didn't say WBA a minute ago. No, this is
WBC. Sorry,
WBC and the ring. They should probably have these guys fight.
And I forgot the lineal championship. I don't exactly know what the lineal championship is, but people keep talking about it.
Oh, lineal championship is putting aside contractual issues, yada, yada, yada. You kind of just follow who beat the last guy who had the championship, essentially.
Which championship?
The original heavyweight championship. Like when there was one, Muhammad Ali was the heavyweight champion, and I think there was only one heavyweight champion maybe back then. That championship, basically.
So here's a question. What if Tyson Fury were to retire right now?
I don't exactly know what happens exactly with the retirement. I think at that point
they go vacant, right? And then they'd make a match and someone would get the belts.
Yeah, Tyson
No, but like not so much about the ring and the WBA, but this magical lineal championship. What happens to that?
What happened, because I think Tyson took the lineal one off of Vladimir Klitschko, but I think he stopped fighting. Right?
Yeah, he did stop fighting.
So then Deontay ended up lineal champion. So he wasn't. Deontay became the lineal champion.
No, if you saw the graphic from the fight, it said he's been the lineal champion since 2015.
Okay. So maybe he was interim. I don't know. Honestly, it's a
bullshit nonsensical thing. This
is like fucking, this is like my theory that fucking Johnny Hendry, the last welterweight champion was GSP. All right, that's what I'm going with. GSP never lost that shit. GSP came back and still is the welterweight champion. Okay, let's make some picks and then we can talk about some nonsense. This weekend we got ourselves a fight at the Apex. Aspen Ladd versus Norma Dumont. This was supposed to be Holly Holm. I feel Holly Holm gets pulled out of fights often. I'm not trying to be disparaging. I'm just thinking about what's happened. Norma Dumont has got, she's 6-1 overall. No knockouts, 2 submissions, 4 decisions. Last win, a split over Felicia Spencer. Also got wins over Ashley Evans Smith. and Marina Moraes. She's fought at featherweight and bantamweight. 5'7". Aspen Ladd offended every part of Misha Tate's being, apparently, in her last attempt to make weight. That was real weird. Still, Misha Tate getting all angry about that. It was a couple weeks ago. We're doing this. Is this a featherweight fight? Yeah?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Betting line for this one, FanDuel has Aspen as minus 144, Norma at plus 118. I'm not going to lie and act like I know more about Norma Dumont than I do. I don't know a lot. Aspen Ladd looked like shit on the scale, but I've kind of just been on the Aspen Ladd train, picking her in fights for a while now. She's got to get this weight situation under control, though. Like, she's got to get her shit together. But she still has a great Instagram page full of pictures of her great dogs. So I'm going to take Aspen Ladd. Just riding the ship after, a quick turnaround. Not confident on any level. Mark?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a tough fight to kind of pick. Just looking at records, I was leaning Aspen Ladd just because she tends to finish a lot of her fights with strikes. The only time Norma lost was against Durandamine, I think, by knockout. I just saw it. Why can't I remember? No, it was Megan Anderson, another person that hits. So I got thinking like, oh, well, striker, maybe. I mean, Norma has done well against grapplers. Like she beat Felicia Spencer and Ashley Evans Smith. Like you mentioned,
Durandamine is the one who knocked out Aspen.
Yeah, that's where I got across. But I'm gonna go with Norma just to make it interesting. Yeah, I don't have a lot of analysis here. Aspen Ladd shouldn't have much trouble on the scale. And I think the same thing happened with Norma. When she fought Evan Smith, it was supposed to be at 135, and she couldn't make weight. So these are both two girls that kind of probably need to be at featherweight. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Norma. No big analysis on it, but just kind of hedging my bets. From last week, we all picked Dern. We all fucked it. This is where I split from the pack and take the lead. Mike, what do you think?
Well, you won't take the lead. You'll tie the lead. So let's relax there. But I'm going to go with Aspen Ladd.
Okay. Also on this card, Andre Arlovski taking time away from showing up on AEW and sitting there while Aspen Ladd berates us all for watching AEW. Not Aspen Ladd, Dan Lambert.
Wait, what?
That was really weird.
Okay.
Dan Lambert, sorry. Andre Arlovski is on this card. He is taking on somebody who I was not totally familiar with when I saw the name. If I'm being honest with you guys. Carlos Felipe. Jim Miller, man. I love Jim Miller. Jim Miller's got like 40 UFC fights. He's still doing it. God bless him. And my thing is, I think the number one thing to come out of this weekend is if Julian Marquez gets a win, he's going to say some more weird shit on the microphone. Remember when this guy, he had Miley Cyrus, and he fucking boofed it? When he boofed it, he had it under control.
In fairness to him, he would have boofed it in private.
I mean, at least get there. At least get there. Good Lord, you dumbass. Sajara Eubanks.
She's still in the UFC. Huh.
Yeah, apparently her girlfriend talking about how much Sajara beats her ass. Domestic violence. I mean, there was a time where Dana White said that you don't come back from domestic violence, and we don't like that. And well, we employ Greg Hardy now, so at this point, it is what it is. Over on the other channel is the fight card you should be watching, folks. Bellator continues their light heavyweight Grand Prix. And Mark, we were talking about this earlier. If Rumble didn't get hurt, this card would have been just straight banger. We were going to be headlining with Nemkov versus Rumble. Instead, we got Julius Anglicus taking on Nemkov. Co-main event, we got Corey Anderson and Ryan Bader, the other side of that bracket. And also on this card, we got Benson Henderson versus Brett Primus in a pick'em fight. We got Henry Corrales, which I don't think he was champion, but I feel he's definitely fought in title fights before. So this is a pretty good card for Bellator, man. This is one of those ones where they're really, I think it's going to get a lot of attention. I think you're going to see Luke Thomas out there. You're going to see Ariel out there because this UFC card's trash. Betting line for Julius Anglicus is he's only a plus 200 underdog. I was a little surprised considering Nemkov has been fucking people up. We are all firmly on the Vadim Nemkov train. Julius is from Lithuania, 10-1. His only loss was his second career loss. He's got 3 knockouts, 4 submissions, 3 decisions. Fighting out of St. Charles MMA. Not familiar with that team. Nemkov in this tournament. Who did he beat last round? Was it Phil Davis, if I'm not mistaken?
I was just looking at it too.
I think it was Phil Davis, because I think it wasn't pretty. Yeah, he beat Phil Davis.
It was. Yep. Good call.
His second win over Phil Davis. Phil Davis is hard to look good against. And we've all pretty much just firmly on the Nemkov is Fedor's protege train. His losses are in Ryzen to Yuri Prochaska and Carl Albertson. Anyway, betting line, he's a minus 260 favorite. Julius is plus 200. I can't in good conscience pick against him, though I'm honestly surprised about the closeness of the line, Mark. I got Nemkov. So. Yeah,
me too, and that is surprising. Like, the book must know more about him than we do, because this seems like a wash kind of fight, And look, he's the champion, retaining his belt. So like, if anyone's going to get kind of like a bye, I kind of figure it should be the champion. He is defending his belt every time he fights in this tournament. So if anyone's going to get an easier fight, it might as well be the guy that kind of earned it the most. But yeah,
there's only one betting line too, though. Normally you see more. This one's coming from Bet Online.
Trying to get some money on it, make it interesting or something.
Kind of feel Bellator sometimes. You don't get as much attention to this stuff early in the fight week.
Sure.
Mike, who do you got?
Yeah, this is going to be a simple one for me. It's Nemkov, who I'm dubbing as the next emperor.
The next emperor.
Yes.
Is he going to be the lineal emperor, or does he have to beat Fedor for that? Huh?
So I'm reading on the lineal boxing champion that can be vacated if the person formally retires or vacates his weight class.
I think Tyson retired and came out of retirement's what happened.
Right.
I think that's why people are saying.
Did he get it back?
Well, that's what they were saying on Wikipedia, that he got it back from Deontay in the first fight. Or second fight, not first fight. Second fight. Or maybe because they drew the first fight, it was held up. Maybe that's why. Maybe Deontay never held it, and it was more like vacated because it was a draw. I don't know. Co-main event. This one's surprising. Corey Anderson, Ryan Bader. Corey Anderson's the favorite. Corey Anderson is a minus 170 favorite. To Ryan Bader's plus 140. Ryan Bader, I think he's coming off that win over Lyoto Machida, where I made all the jokes about him jumping into another punch. Didn't do that. On the other side of it, Corey Anderson been getting those kid gloves in Bellator. They gave him Melvin Manhoff in his first fight. Second fight, he took on Dovechkin Yag Shamuradov. Beat him in the third round. Betting odds, Corey minus 170 to Ryan Bader's plus 140. I'm going to pick Ryan Bader because short of Corey just out-grinding him, this is a 3-round fight, right? By the way, it is. It has to.
I would assume.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Okay, because the other one isn't. The other one's a title fight.
Well, it's a title fight. That's why. Yeah.
Well, they also changed now that all their main events starting New Year are going to be.
Yeah.
Not that this is the main event. I think all the tournament fights should be 5 rounds. By the way, if they're going to do this, but if the champion has to defend his fucking belt, they should also fight 5 rounds.
That's what I think. Yeah.
I'm going to take Ryan Bader because I don't think Corey Anderson's a better grappler than him, and I don't think he's a better striker than him. And Corey Anderson is a really that nickname of overtime or whatever the fuck the stupid ass nickname is. That's true to his fighting style. He's going to outwork you is his plan. I don't know if that's going to work, to be honest. I'm surprised about this betting line too, Mark. I'm taking Ryan Bader. Mm-hmm. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I do think this fight is much tougher to call. Both guys kind of have similar styles. And yeah, you can look at Corey and we were all on, Ryan Bader had a ton of momentum, when he was light and heavyweight champion defending both belts. He kind of seemed unstoppable in Bellator. I am going to go with Bader too. I kind of want to pick Corey just to make it interesting. Even when you say his hands aren't that better, he knocked out Johnny Walker on the feet, right? I don't think that was.
Yeah, but Ryan Bader won that whole heavyweight tournament without taking a punch. Like,
that's true. That's true. But those heavyweights are, he's a man in shape. He really took away.
Yeah.
He took away a lot of guys that weren't, maybe in the prime of their careers. I'm gonna go with Bader. I do think it's a tough fight. I'm not gonna be surprised if Corey is able to, outwork him, out hustle him, or land a good shot and kind of change the momentum of the fight. I was surprised on the line though too, Bob. I thought with everything Bader has accomplished in Bellator,
I thought basically the flip.
More.
I thought basically Bader is like a minus 170 or so favorite, basically.
Yeah, but I'll take Bader with you. We'll see how that turns out on Saturday. But
Mike, what about you? Are you going to join us on Team Bader here, or are you going to go with Beaston? Is this where you're going to make your move?
I'm still trying to do some more research on how you become a lineal champion, because I'm seeing there's actually a lot of vacant championships in the lower weight classes. So hopefully by the end of this episode, I can give you guys some more information on that. But I'm going with Bader.
All right. We're not going to pick this fight, but Benson Henderson's on this card against Ben Primus. I think that just sounds like a good fight, Mark. Like, that just sounds like that's a pick'em fight. I don't know what, I mean, Bendo at this point, we don't know. He's been doing this a long time.
He's had a rocky road in Bellator too. But
he's been complaining. He's been complaining that he's not talked about in the light heavyweight in the lightweight picture. I'm like, my guy, win some fights. You're
on a 2-fight losing streak. I love Bendo.
Yeah,
but we're all big Bendo fans here. Like, he's great walkout song, all that jazz. And I'm not sure this fight where his wife is making her pro debut earlier in the card. I don't think you should do that. I don't think you should fight on the same card as your wife. Like, I always there's a reason Nick and Nate were never on the same fight card. You know what I mean? Like, if you're with your family, I always thought that was kind of cool. I always think that you're going to be so emotionally invested. I don't know. That just seems like a questionable move. I'm not a fighter, but I saw Maria Henderson and I'm like, is that his wife? Turns out his wife. So, got to make that a second source of income, right? Though you got to get that second paycheck from the Henderson household is going to take a large check from this Bellator card. Maria Mouse Henderson, fighting at 115 pounds, 1-0 as an amateur. So, and
so far so good.
Bellator tries to get the family deal.
Mm-hmm.
Is Gilbert in Bellator? Does Gilbert have a job? Honest question: when was the last time Gilbert fought anybody? Did he retire?
Yeah, I thought he retired or something. I'm not sure.
He was released in 2019. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't fought, so. God, Gilbert went out in the UFC, 5 straight losses. Whew.
Yeah, it was rough.
Shout out to him getting that big choke, those big checks, though. Good man. Good man. All right. Stuff we like. Let's go. Let's get into it first. Rockhold's fight is out. Rockhold's no longer fighting Sean Strickland.
Oh, shucks. That actually sounded fun.
That sounded good, too. He got her herniated disc in his back. Luke gets hurt a lot.
He does.
That's what happens in your 30s. So just very quickly, the lineal champion isn't really... It's not really an official thing. Come on, you wanted some closure on this. It's not really an official thing. It's something that fans and, boxing writers kind of just talk about and annoying. So it's a very subjective thing from the looks of this.
I'm surprised you didn't know that, because Bobby used to talk about lineal champions all the fucking time, and it's like, who cares? No one cares.
God, honestly, I used to be able to know all the champions of the entire history. I was lost it at one point. By the way, if you guys didn't see it, Melvin Gillard's face got ruined this past weekend. I forgot to bring it up in that bare knuckle fight.
The Diesel got him good.
Joe Diesel Riggs hit him with a straight. It was like a left cross there. Busted his left orbital, and he had 5 orbital fractures, and shit inflated like a balloon. So,
yeah, he's going through it.
By the way, now since we talked about it, Moreno and Figueiredo, we got a little bit more time to that title fight. Is there time maybe we have time to rethink this and give somebody else a title shot? No.
Nope.
What's Mighty Mouse? Mighty Mouse is out doing mixed rules fight. Bring Mighty Mouse back. Huh?
They can't. They lost him in the trade, Bob.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah. I guess so.
Got to give one Askren back.
Fair enough. All right, stuff we like. Marcus, why don't you lead it off?
Yeah, I got quite a bit. Outside of Ted Lasso, which we're going to kind of cap the show off, a lot of things kind of ended this week. What If ended? I don't think you guys caught all of it. I don't know if Mike's been watching it.
I have.
Okay, I've been a big fan. I've been talking about it with Steph, our former co-host. I know he wasn't super hot on the show itself. And I get like some of the things he didn't appreciate so much. Like everything does take place in the MCU. It's, you're not going to see any heroes or characters that haven't already been introduced in those movies. That all being said, I really enjoyed the show. It was one of the shows when they announced their, lineup of stuff coming out that I was most excited for. Not even just because the premise of What If, which is basically, just the premise is basically these different storylines. What if a small thing changed and, a different character was Captain America or Star-Lord, or what if all the Avengers got killed, or Marvel Zombies. They took a lot of stuff from comics, which was cool. And honestly, just the premise alone, I think, is intriguing. I was also really intrigued with this is going to be kind of their first animated show. Me and Bob have watched some of Marvel's animated shows, Avengers, Mightiest Heroes, Avengers Assemble, Ultimate Spider-Man. So I've been a fan of, what they've done on the animated side. And obviously that stuff was more rooted in the comics than it was in the MCU, but this was going to be, MCU based. But I was just interested to see, like, how is this show going to look and feel? And it's not hand-drawn animation, it's 3D models, which I've, kind of taken over the animation slate, but I really enjoyed it. I do think the animation style is a little weird. I think it excels in action scenes. I think a lot of the action in this series was top-notch, was so good. I mean, in the first episode, which was basically what if Peggy Carter became Captain America, and they basically just regurgitated Captain America's first movie. That episode was particularly weak because it wasn't all that different than the movie, and they kind of just cut the movie from like 90 minutes to 30 minutes, which just made that thing move like a mile a minute. But the action scenes in there were fucking awesome, and that continued throughout the rest of the series. And I guess what I'd be a little critical of is I'm not super surprised at the end they kind of melded all the stories into one. I don't think the series, for me personally, really needed to do that. This could have just been an anthology thing where it's just like, yeah, we're going to tell you weird stories each week. And maybe at the end they don't all come together. It wouldn't have really impacted me all that much. And another thing that I think a lot of people liked, and I think they did a decent job, but I don't think was super necessary for me, was getting a lot of the MCU actors to reprise their roles in the voiceovers. Like, I think that's cool. But it's like a financial angle, I'd be like, you could have just gotten a voice actor to do it, and I personally would have been just fine. I do think it's cool. It made the episodes kind of fun when you're looking at the opening sequence and it's telling you who's in the episodes. You're like, oh, Hawkeye's in this episode, and this character, and George St. Pierre's in this episode. Didn't expect that, because obviously they didn't need GSP to do his voiceover. They could have just gotten anybody; it would have been totally fine. But overall, I really enjoyed that series. It's going to get a second season. I know some people I think overall there are things that you can criticize, and I think they could have done certain episodes better. I think the episodes being longer would have benefited. I think a lot of the episodes just move so fast. It's kind of just like ba-dum, 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 ba-dum. You don't really get to sit on a lot of scenes or really develop things super well. But I really enjoyed it. I had a blast. I know a lot of people were like, oh, it's just a show. Like, I'll watch it. I'm not excited. I was excited for it. Each week I was excited to see what they were going to do, how they were going to change things up. And I know season 2, they're going to deal with more of the current phase of the MCU. So I think that's going to be exciting too. Yes, I really enjoyed that. Mm-hmm.
I think I only saw the first 2 or 3. And it wasn't I didn't enjoy it. I just kind of realized this didn't need to be appointment viewing for me. And that I knew I would catch up with it. It was one of those. It didn't feel as urgent as the other ones. I don't know. Sure, and I think a lot of people... Maybe because Stefan's not around and Stefan's wasn't pushing it either.
Yeah, I don't think that's particularly unique, Bob. I think I've heard that on the internet a lot, and it's just, for me, it's like I'm not on that at all. Like, every Wednesday I was like, fuck yeah, I can't wait to watch, and even though I knew what the premise was, I was like, I'm just excited to see what they do and have fun with this. Yeah. And I think my favorite episode was the second to last one, where they kind of broke down some of the barriers and had fucking some kooky ass fight scenes. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm super looking forward to season 2 and what they do there. I'm interested to see if they're going to take any of these concepts into the multiverse of madness, because we know we're going there with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange had probably the strongest episode in the series. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm super excited to see more. Another show that I caught that's fairly new on Netflix is Midnight Mass. Now, this is from the same guy that did The House on Haunting Hill and Bly Manor. So these are kind of like spooky kind of shows. I really liked Midnight Mass. And from the title, I personally I'm not a very religious person. So doing with Mass and potentially having a show, about religion was not super intriguing to me. But it really goes places I didn't see it going at first. It kind of seems like it's going to be kind of like a spooky kind of mystery thing. And it takes wild swings. And the show gets pretty fucking weird. And I really appreciated it. What I would say about just the writing and directorial style, that I think his name's Mike Flanagan, who did those other shows. Like, I think he writes these too. Dude fucking loves monologues. He loves when there's a conversation and one character is like, nah. Give me 5 minutes here. I'm going to spin a tale for you. Because, there's probably 3 monologues in each episode, and they're good. And I like the monologues in The House on Haunting Hill. I think that's what the name of that show was. I'm honestly not even sure. I know it was weird. Because they have good actors. It's good writing, but it is just weird. It's like, it's one of those things. I can't remember what congressperson said it, Bob. It was like, I don't know what what porn is, but I know when I see it. I don't know what dictates a monologue. I don't know how long one character has to keep saying lines for it to officially be a monologue, but these are fucking monologues. This character is going off to say some shit for about 5 minutes, and a couple times when I was getting a little tired, I kind of closed my eyes and be like, okay, they can spend their web of narrative here, and I'm just gonna take a little doze here, and I'll come back in when I know the plot's gonna be moving again. But it was really good. It was super enjoyable. I do definitely recommend checking it out, especially if you're it's October, you're looking for something kind of spooky. I definitely recommend it. Last but not least,
hashtag PS5 life, Mark. Come on, hashtag PS5 life.
That's what I'm getting to. So I did. I was able to actually get my PS5. I was supposed to get it last Thursday. They got it early, so I picked it up on Tuesday. So I've been playing Ratchet and Clank, Returnal, Alan Wake, and then Kenya Bridge of Spirits, along with a little Avengers.
We can talk about Ratchet and Clank now. I've had this game for 2 months. What do you think, bro?
I mean,
it's fun.
Beaten it. I know you haven't played that much.
No, I haven't played it in 3 fucking weeks, at least.
Yeah.
So.
But as a game that when it came out, I watched other people play it, so I didn't think starting it myself I'd be super captivated because it's stuff I've already seen. And usually when I play, I'll play a game for an hour or so, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna take a break. Mostly because I am sharing the TV with my wife, and I don't want to just hog it and stuff. But yeah, when I got into Ratchet and Clank, I had a 2.5 session where it just kind of it got me in its loop,
Yeah, me too. When I first started playing it, I was playing for good 3-4 hours the first time, just because I was like, okay, I'm into this. Let's go.
You get into an area that, the story is not really the driving point, but it's just oh, here's this map, here's these little things I want to collect. Let me see if I can figure this out. I love the combat. Overall with the PS5, I think a lot of its strongest features is stuff that kind of goes on in the background that you don't really notice. Obviously, the SSD, everything's loading really quick. Navigating the UI super quick. It's just I think at this point it just feels modern. Going back to
that controller is cool as shit. Honestly,
the controller's awesome. The
controller.
And I did mention it when I got to play the PS5 at Steph's. It has a good weight to it. Just holding it in your hands is this feels good. This is it's a little heavier than the PS4. The buttons and everything just feel a little sharper. Obviously, the stuff it's doing with the vibration is really cool. The haptic triggers are, for some games, it does take a little getting used to. Returnal uses the haptic triggers for aiming, where you do half the trigger to kind of do a fine aim. If you pull it all the way down, you do a special kind of move. And it takes a little bit getting used to that stuff. But all the games I played, everything just feels smoother and snappier than it did on the PS4. I think it has to do with the hard drive and the graphics card. Things are running at 60 frames instead of 30. Navigating different games, jumping in different games is super quick because of the SSD. I think a lot of stuff that it excels at the most are the things that kind of go unnoticed, but those are also the most important things too. It's going to be really interesting in the next 10 years or so, where loading is not even a thing anymore. And it hasn't been a super big detractor in games. Even in towards the end of the PS3 360, a lot of developers were finding ways getting around loading, where it's okay, you're never going to be in a loading screen in this game. You might be in a part where your character is going to stop running and they're going to start walking and having a little dialogue thing going on because we're hiding a load screen or whatever. But going in the future with SSD hard drives, we don't really have to do that. Developers don't have to work around it. So it's going to be a thing, just like blowing in a cartridge. Like, yeah, I remember back in the PS1 days, you put the disc in it fucking loads, and I'm playing Resident Evil. I open a door, and there's a little door animation. It takes 10 seconds because that's to load in each fucking room.
10 seconds.
I mean,
that PlayStation loading time, I remember back in the day, was insanely long.
Yeah, you play some games. It's like a couple minutes to get into a game or something, and that's quickly becoming a thing of the past. And I think that the PS5's, obviously the strongest indicator of that, which is how quick it is able to just load games. And playing a game like Avengers, where I was playing it on PS4, and now I'm playing the PS5 version. It's funny, when you load into the Avengers, they have kind of this cinematic loading screen where it's all the Avengers and like this slow-mo, like Captain America's getting his shield back, or Thor, he's recalling the hammer, or the Hulk's doing a big scream. You don't see those at all on PS5 because you load the game and you're instantly in. It's like, that's cool. I kind of like seeing those. It's cool. I'm instantly in, but like they don't need to do that anymore. And even when you're going on a mission, they'll have a little dialogue back and forth, like, oh, you're going to this aim base, you're going to do yada, yada, yada. And then halfway through that, it's like, do you want to skip this? Because you don't have to watch this anymore because we're done loading. In the PS4, that was not. And you had to wait for that shit to end, and then you'd look at your characters sitting in the Quinjet for about another 40 seconds, then you load into the map. So yeah, it's a big quality of life adjustment, which has been great. And then obviously, I think the visuals have constantly gotten better with each console generation, but especially with the PS3 to 4, that jump was a lot smaller. And then PS4 to 5, I've noticed a big jump because I also jumped from 1080p to 4K HDR, and more so than just like the quality of graphics. I'm noticing like lighting effects are a lot cooler and more dynamic with the HDR stuff. And colors just seem to pop a little bit more. They're just small things, but they add overall to make the games more enjoyable. So yeah, I know, Bob, we both got Back 4 Blood, so we're gonna try that out. That'll be the first time doing like a multiplayer game on the PS5.
Back 4 Blood.
I thought that came out like next week.
It comes out in an hour and 10 minutes. My
hour and 10
5's
minutes. We technically could play it, but 9 o'clock's a little late for me, and midnight for Mike's probably too late. But yeah, we'll try that out, and we'll talk about it next week. But yeah, I've been super...
Yeah, you guys, fast forward to about an hour and a half from now when I'm trying to upload the podcast, and it's just going slow as shit, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on? My PlayStation's out there working overtime on this giant game, probably.
No, you should have. When I pre-ordered it, like, it's already loaded. It's just waiting for the 9 o'clock thing. So
it's already in there now?
If you can set settings to auto download.
Okay.
So it should be fine. It should just be waiting for the time.
Man, I almost got burned on that auto download thing. When I bought the wrong MLB to show.
Well, you got to be careful.
They're like, oh, you played this game. I'm like, I downloaded 4 seconds of a 30 gigabyte game. What do you mean I played it?
You played 4 seconds, Bobby. You keep it now. No return.
Yeah, I'm like, what do you want me to do? We're an hour and 8 minutes in. Mike, you got anything before we get into Ted Lasso? Because I'm just saving everything else I got.
An hour and 8 minutes in, so this is about to be an hour and 45-minute episode because I don't know. God knows how much Ted Lasso we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, I don't got anything else this week, to be honest. That's what I was so excited for that. But if you have anything else before we get into it,
the stuff this isn't a stuff we like this week, but I think at this point I've probably mentioned this a few times. On the 1st or 2nd Monday of October, whenever the fuck this holiday falls. But again, fuck Christopher Columbus. My 23andMe says I am 40% Spanish, and that is because Christopher Columbus and his merry band of thugs were the first pioneers to come to the New World, aka the Caribbean, rape, pillage, and just destroy the people that live there. So fuck Christopher Columbus, and happy Indigenous Peoples Day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Real quick, I just have 2 quick hitters. One, I'm gonna need Mark and Mike to become aware of who Tony D'Angelo is on NXT. Mark, this guy's running a straight Italian mobster from New Jersey gimmick. Straight, he's 3 seconds from saying gabagool. We got basically a No Way Jose situation here, where it is so offensive almost that he was insanely over. When this is over, I'll send you guys the entrance. You guys Google Tony D'Angelo entrance. It's Mike. Have you seen this?
No, but
you gotta look at the. You go back and look at the vignettes where he's just like, I'm in waste management, and it's just it's absurd. And this past week was the return of the anxious millennial cowboy himself. Somehow, still the most over baby face in AEW. Goddamn Hangman Page. Really excited to watch his ascent. All right. Ted Lasso. Folks, we're going to spoil the fuck out of this finale. All right? So what's going to happen? If you haven't watched it, come on, guys, get it together. And it's not like you're I'm going to listen to this.
A few more seconds to get out of here in case they haven't watched it.
By the way, if you're like not a Ted Lasso person, you're like, oh, well, I mean, whatever. I mean, I'm not going to watch it ever. No. Go watch this fucking show. All right? Half of you have iPhones. They give you this Apple TV shit for free when you get a new iPhone. So get on it. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I was so excited for this, guys. I was telling Mike this that day because the episodes are technically Fridays, right? So they drop at midnight Eastern time. They drop at 9 p.m. Thursday nights on the West Coast. So I was literally sitting at my desk like, all right, 9:02, refresh. Let's fucking go. I was among the first people to watch this thing. I was online and there was 10 comments on those fucking Reddit threads. That was a wonderful episode of television. The scene where they're doing the Diamond Dogs and Nate's there and did everybody else just feel a tension? Cause Ted knew, turns out Beard knew, Nate had this weird look of guilt, and poor Higgins is talking about all the dogs that shit in his office. And when Beard says, I'd love to headbutt you. What do you say? I'd be happy to headbutt you, Nate?
I'd be happy to headbutt you, Nate.
That was a gold line. That was one of the... I was like, oh shit, what might happen here? I thought Nate's whole monologue, and Jason Sudeikis' reaction to it was master acting by both of them. There's a line in there where he's telling off Ted, and he says, "You belong back in Kansas," and there's a beat, and then he goes, "With your son," and then Ted, noticeably flinches, not that he's gonna take a swing on it, but almost that landed, and I was and he's talking about you have pictures of all these Americans, but not me, and and Nate doesn't know what we know, which is Ted has a picture of Nate next to a picture of his son.
That picture that Nate gave him, he has next to a picture of his son.
Yeah, that's the thought. That's what he thinks of this man. And it was, just the Nate part of it, I thought was incredible. We'll go to the other parts too, but Mark, Nate's whole arc, I know some people weren't a big fan of at the beginning, but I thought they just, when you think about the way they did it, it really played all the way back to the first season. How he came to this point.
Yeah, no, I think what kind of helped me a little bit, you shared that, I guess the actor wrote those notes you shared with me earlier today.
Yeah, Nick Muhammad is his name.
Yeah, because there was definitely, I think for myself, it didn't land as earned as I thought, because it was Nate in the beginning of the show was this character that no one knew, no one respected, no one gave the time of day, and then Ted was really the person to notice that not only is there a human under this skin that's talking and helping to me, but he's a good kid, and he also happens to know a lot about the sport, and he takes him under his wing and he builds him up. So to have this turn in season 2 where they're slowly getting divided and Nate is becoming a real asshole, it didn't seem the most natural in the world, but after reading your notes that talked about some of the things they set up in season 1 and a lot of stuff that happened in season 2 that I wasn't really noticing as much, does play into that turn earning. We obviously see Nate kind of get power hungry with how he's treating the other staff, especially how he treats the the ball boy or the guy that took his position. He really shits on him a lot, and a lot of stuff just it was just wow, why is Nate being such an asshole? He was such a sweet kid early on, but you do see and this happens in reality, when people get I think when people especially have been kind of abused and they get into a position of power, it's not unheard of for them to kind of abuse that power and to treat people unfair, or to treat people how he was treated, because it makes them feel like that's just the natural order of things. Bob?
Yeah, I said that I read the comment online where it was just hurt people, and it really felt like that's what happened here with Nate.
Yeah, and you saw the other characters like Kaylee and Rebecca were trying to build, Nate's confidence, and it told like how Rebecca, her thing was like she would, before going into meetings, she would stand up and make herself really big, to make herself feel like a big person. And, Nate's way of doing that was to spit in the mirror, and that gave him confidence. And again, the notes that you shared, Bobby, I think were really cool, and I wish more people would be able to see that, because they talk about, the subtleties of that. Like, he's spitting on himself because, like, internally, even though he may not realize it, he kind of hates who he's becoming, but it makes him become the person that he thinks he wants to be. And that kind of stuff, I think, is really subtle, and I think overall does make the show a lot better. But someone that maybe didn't notice that, it made the turn just feel ungenuine a little bit, because it's just like, man, why is Nate being such an asshole? Besides him, besides the thing we just mentioned, but it was set up really well, and I think I just didn't notice it because I wasn't keeping as keen an eye on it. But yeah, overall, and that scene was really great, and it was one of these things where you're kind of like, yeah, there's a lot going on in this season. Ted's finally dealing with his mental health issues in a major way, and that's impacting a lot of his character's arc this season. And you don't really notice, like, him and Nate aren't really talking as much as they used to.
You know what, Mike? The only scene Ted and Nate had one-on-one this
was
season
in the penultimate episode.
Yeah, no, it was this. They didn't have an episode scene before that one-on-one.
Are you sure? I thought
this was
episode 12. Was this episode 12?
Yeah, I think that was it. I don't think they did anything else together.
Okay. One-on-one. I thought this was episode 13.
And what was interesting was that we all saw Nate had moments, right, where Mark mentioned the him shitting on. I keep forgetting the name of the. It's not
Kyle?
Colin. Colin is the player, but what's
Kyle?
his name?
Yeah.
Kyle.
Maybe
the new Kit Man, where Beard saw it, and like Nate's biggest concern was, did you tell Ted? And he didn't. And you can know that, like, Beard's job as the assistant coach is, keep the stuff off of the head coach's plate, right? He's got his own issues. And as a friend of Ted's, Beard also knew that Ted's dealing with his own shit right now. Ted's got his own problems, and he didn't want to add to it. And I almost think, like, do you think, that's your opinion, but I thought maybe, like, man, like, him by protecting Ted left him blind to what was happening with Nate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes and no, but I don't think anyone really realized how far gone or what was really going on with Nate. I think if Beard had known it was more of what was going on, other than just he's kind of being a dick to the Kit Man, he probably would have told Ted at that point.
That's fair. And you're the one who told me the light literally left his eyes at the end there.
So those notes, so what Bobby sent us, Mark, that actually came, those are all notes from an interview that Nate's actor, whatever the actor's name is, Nick Muhammad had with this guy, where those were all things that he actually talked about in that interview. And one of the things that Nick Muhammad mentioned was the parallels between the first season, how the first season started and ended, and how the second season started and ended, where the first season generally was the journey of Rebecca, where the first season started with, I guess the first shot was of Rebecca and ended with Rebecca as the last shot, whereas this, and it went from, she was a horrible person who, I think I was texting Bobby when I first started watching the show, like, fuck that B, she's horrible. And by the end of the season, I'm like, all right, she's redeemed, she's the best. But Nate's character went the exact opposite direction. And Nick Muhammad, in his script, it says for that final close-up of his eyes, it says in the script, the light leaves Nate's eyes. And I had already watched the episode one time already, and then when I went and watched it again, because it was just such a great episode, I watched it again within a half hour of watching it the first time, which I'd never do. And when I watched it the second time, you actually literally see the light leave Nate's eyes and the eyes blacken a bit, which was, I thought, a really cool effect that they did.
Yeah.
All right, can we talk about rich African owner? Because Mike
Sam Richardson, I know his name. Big fan of his.
I
You
mean,
got all my trash.
what did he? Listen, what are some of the lines we got? When he just started, when he screamed at him, "You fucking Nigerian," and I'm like, "Oh shit!"
You fucking Nigerian, you Yoruba trash, which I thought was a cool effect of just shitting on his tribe.
I'm gonna buy your childhood home and shit in every room in the house.
I'm gonna shit in every room in your house, burn it down, and then use the ashes to cook some African dish or something.
What was the name of his guy we shook hands for him? Or that dude at the end went to shake Sam's hands and he just did the, I'm too cool for you thing, like ran his hands through his head. That was fucking incredible.
Yeah, that
when the character was introduced, like I don't know if you guys know like who Sam Richardson is. Like he's getting a lot of work. I see him in fucking everything.
There was a commercial for a show with him right before the thing started.
Yeah, because I mean he was in Tim Robinson is this guy who did the Detroiters, and his show on Netflix has gotten really popular. It's called I Think You Should Leave, and Sam's like kind of his co-writer, like someone he does a lot of work with. So like when he showed up in Ted Lasso, it was cool. I love seeing this guy, but he's a big physical comedian, and it was kind of like he was playing this very posh, intelligent African guy, and it was like, okay, like he's doing I thought he did a fantastic job. I thought the dialect was perfect. It reminded me a lot of like how people talk like in Black Panther and Wakanda and stuff, and it was just very articulate and smart. But it wasn't until that scene I was like, okay, this is why you hired this guy. This is why he got the role, because he can play this scene where he's this cool, suave guy, and then when he loses his shit, he just goes off. And that scene was awesome. That was really fun, and that's for me the moment was like, okay, now I know why you hired him.
Why don't you tell us about your favorite scene with him, Bobby?
With who?
With the African team owner.
When he was choking the mannequin, you mean?
Yeah, man.
That was my favorite too.
I mean, that was the best scene for everybody. He was choking a mannequin. It was incredible. Sam's look on his face the whole fucking time was just like, okay, bro. I don't know what you want me to tell.
What I loved about Sam's reaction to the whole thing was that he wryly smiled, just thinking, well, now I for sure know I made the right decision.
Yeah. I mean, like, again, the show has shown a lot of character arcs and like people being one way in the beginning and changing. And this was a very short one, right? We were led to believe this guy's very humble and respectable, but also extremely rich and intelligent.
Well, he only would shake hands with Sam, right?
Right.
He wouldn't shake hands with anybody else.
Yeah, and then to see him kind of explode is like, okay, yeah, and just like you said, like in that moment, he's like, oh, I absolutely made the right decision. Like I might have been rich off this guy, but like this wasn't his journey. And I think Sam as a character is somebody that I think, especially early on in the season, was really just a side character. He really didn't have much of an impact or role. He was just another one of the players. And I think in season 2 has really grown to be an outspoken and really key character in the overall story. And his little storyline with Rebecca has been great. And a lot of things he's talked about, like, how I think when he told Rebecca, and that scene was really good too, basically where Ted is in the room with Sam and Rebecca when he's telling Rebecca, like, oh, I'm going to stay. And his reason was like, it was the right choice for my personal journey. Like, and he's dropped a couple lines like that, which is just like, for a guy who's a football player in his early 20s, moving from, his African home to, England to play soccer, like he has a lot of lines that hit a lot deeper than you would think. And yeah, I thought his character was great and his arc has been great. Yeah. And then these scenes really elevated his character as well.
I've really enjoyed Roy's like coming into being a real adult emotionally. And like,
but
Jamie
still immature. Like his way of dealing with things, he still reacts the same way, but he is more mental and more like you're gonna talk about the Jamie Tart apology. Yeah. Like when he apologizes, and I think this happened early on, and like another argument he had, like he's like, fuck, like I want to be mad at you, but you said all the right things. I can't logically be mad at you because you basically apologized.
Have you seen Major League before, Mark?
Yeah, sure. It's been a long time.
There was that pull at the end where like they were celebrating and he headbutted Jamie and then hugged him. Okay, that was straight Roger Dorn, because that's Roger Dorn from Major League, who Charlie Sheen fucked his wife. So Roger Dorn, fucking punches Charlie Sheen while they're celebrating and then gives him a big hug. That was, this movie, the whole premise of the show started with some major league shit where like the team owner's trying to destroy the team by hiring a, bunch of unqualified coach, basically. I thought just, it was a really, did you guys catch people did this thing where like, with the scene where Nate's facing, but they first cut to Nate as coach of West Ham. Like he's facing his team. People put it up against like Darth Vader and the like staring out the fucking Death Star being built and stuff. I thought that was intentional too. The way they did that, the image of it, like how he's gone like full fucking evil, basically. I thought show's just well done. It doesn't have to be, the show's not that complicated. You don't have to make a complicated show for people to be really into, It's a very simple concept, this show. It's just about a guy, the fish out of water in the UK, and just people's and the different characters' growth. You know what I mean? It's a very simple concept. And I don't know anybody who watched it and said, okay, not for me.
Yeah, that'd be hard.
I agree.
It's really well done. Does anybody have anything else to say about this season?
Looking forward to the next season.
Yeah. And if you have a PS5, do not activate that 6-month PlayStation that's a 6-month free thing until the last minute you can in July. So you'll catch the 3rd season. Literally telling you mine and Mark's plan right here.
It wouldn't be, I'm not going to be shocked if people that listen to the show, maybe like you said, Bobby, like weren't interested in the show or weren't going to give it a shot because it is on a platform that has not really validated its worth to a lot of people, like Apple TV. Maybe if you're super into that ecosystem, that makes sense for you to pick that up. And the price point is really cheap. That's probably its best aspect, is that it's like $4.99 a month or $5.99 a month. It's much more, much more affordable than some of the other services. But this show in and of itself is worthy of even just, and I think at this point too, like if you heard what we said and you're interested in watching the show, I think you get a trial for 7 days, and I think it's a very bingeable show. The first season was 10 episodes. This one was 12. They mark in around like 30 minutes or so. And like a good bingeable show, like each episode leads you into the next. I know when we were first watching it, like me and Christine were like, one more. Like that was good. Let's do one more. And then when we finally caught up, it was fuck, I wish I had one more to watch right now because that was so good. I'm intrigued to see what happens next. So I think now's not a bad time. If you're so inclined or this sounds good to you or you're just curiosity is getting the better of you, get the trial now, binge all these shows.
So we're probably next August? If imagine if they're starting the same schedule.
Yeah,
next August,
who knows? I think like you said, they're still writing. They got, the writing schedule got a little bunked because of COVID and stuff. But obviously filming will be able to resume sooner than it would. So
this is what you gotta do. We were talking about this. Actually, Mike, did you want to chime in first before we?
No, I'm good.
I thought you were waving me over. Sorry. We talked about this because you were saying like a subscription service validating its existence. You need original content. Like I see these things for like Paramount, the Paramount Plus thing. Is there a reason to get Paramount Plus right now? Like, do they have anything? Does anybody know what they have that's like new content that like?
I think they get movies. Because I think they new Halloween movies coming out on there.
I pay for Paramount Plus, and I don't know what's in Paramount Plus.
Are you sure you're not confusing Paramount Plus with Peacock?
I might be.
Ooh, I was.
Peacock's because Mark did that. Peacock's the one that's got wrestling. Peacock is not that problem. Peacock is being Peacock is getting hoisted up by the WWE fans, basically. That's what's carrying that entire platform right now. You need original content, and Apple TV has justified it to me. I don't know. I haven't watched a Jon Stewart show yet. I was going to check that out since I have another 2 months on this subscription, I think, 2 or 3 months before I got to pay, and it's $5, so maybe I'll keep it. But there's a Jon Stewart show. There's that morning show thing, which is not my jam. I watched an episode, really wasn't my thing. I know people like Tehran. They think it's a really good show on there, so they got me now, so I might as well see what's in there. And it's a commercial for Apple. Everybody's using. They're not beating you over the head with it, but you watch Ted Lasso. Everybody's got a fucking iPhone and a MacBook. You notice that? That's really it. That's all I got this week, though. You guys got anything else?
Nah.
Do we
we're
get
good.
to preview?
This is a show, baby.
Do we get to preview something worth a damn next week?
I don't know. I think we're still in the
closed all
dead zone.
those windows down.
Oh no, this is the one where we get to preview.
Paula,
a decent,
and
a pretty
Vittori.
good one
That's
actually.
Not bad. Yeah, that's actually.
It's got Vittori
decent.
versus Paulo Costa. You got Bruce Leroy's on the card.
in
Random
the dead
Marcos
zone.
is on there too. So, and it's also we can also pick Fedor versus Tim Cop Mustache Johnson.
Oh, that was happening.
Yeah, that's happening in Russia. So Fedor just is conscious when it's over. They're going to give him the decision. So that's where we're at with that. For this, they're sending Koreshkov the fight. Okay, it's not a bad card, honestly. Just looking at it. Okay, guys, we'll be back next week. We're going to talk about Marvin Vittori and Paulo Costa, their fight. Where the most exciting part might honestly be the shit talk leading up to it. But yeah, we're gonna see the finals of this Bellator thing. We're gonna get that set this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
I think we're headed towards. I mean, based on my picks, we're heading towards the rematch of Vadim Nemkov versus Ryan Bader.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, seems likely.
Did one of us take? You took Corey Anderson, didn't you, or who took Corey Anderson?
I don't think any of us took Corey Anderson.
Nope. Weren't feeling brave enough this week, I suppose.
All right, so we're all picking a rematch of a fight where Ryan Bader got his shit pushed in. So.
Mm-hmm. History repeats.
Yeah, we got some clear, fucking validation of how good Nemkov is. Thank you all so much for listening. We really appreciate it. We really do. Be back next week. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Go Niners. Go Giants. Really just Giants. The Niners suck. Mike's not even going to talk about the Jets. See y'all next week. It was Dr. Law. Kid Presentable still not here. DJ Mark, Lavender Gooms. Peace out.
See ya.